If you're looking to sell your house in Winnipeg and Southeastern Manitoba in communities like Steinbach or Niverville, this is the video for you. Hi, my name is Brad Elias and I'm a realtor servicing those who are trying to buy their first home, upsize into their second home, or buy an investment property. I service both Winnipeg and Southeastern Manitoba. I hope this video provides you the information to sell your house at top dollar as quick as possible. Let's dive in. If you find this video interesting and would like to work with me further to sell your house, please reach out with the contact information provided in the description. So here we go. When I sit down with a seller, whether I talk with them for an hour or 3 hours, there are often 5 questions that are asked. The first question is, why should I hire a specific real estate agent? What value do they bring to selling my house? The second question would be, what is this market like? Are we in a seller's market? Are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a balanced market? 3, what is my house worth? 4, how are you going to market my house and get the most amount of people seeing my house for sale? And 5, how much are you going to charge me for your service? But before we go into those questions, we need to ask the question, why are you selling? Sometimes when people read a headline or watch something on TV or see a YouTube video, they're like, oh my goodness, I need to sell my house because the market's gonna collapse. And before you do that, let's ask the question, why are you selling? Is it because you've had another kid and you feel like you need to upsize? Maybe you want an investment property. You're at the place in your career where you want to take that money and reinvest. Maybe you want to downsize. You've lived in a larger home all your life and now it's time to downsize. But I'd encourage you, this is a big decision. Take time, really process, and let's talk about why you actually want to sell. So we've sat down and we've discussed why you want to sell your home, and you're at the place where you for sure want to put your house in the market and get your house sold as quick as possible. And so we need to discuss how much it's going to cost you and what are the fees involved in selling your house. The first thing that you want to consider is your mortgage. So if you're in the 5-year fixed or a fixed term mortgage, sometimes if you sell your house and go into a different place, if you're not porting it over, you're going to have to pay a penalty on a mortgage. And so you want to discuss with your lender what that is. Another fee that comes with selling your house is lawyer fees. So within the transaction, once the transaction is completed, you're going to meet with your lawyer and there's going to be a lawyer fee with that. And finally, commissions. And we'll discuss what that looks like further on. So when I sit down with a seller, it's not about trying to figure out, okay, right away is what is your house going to sell for? How much is it going to cost you? That type of thing. I really try to understand why a seller is trying to sell their house. It's a huge cost, it's a huge inconvenience, and I want to be there to consult with them so that they can make the right decision and get the right outcome. For most people, the right outcome is top dollar in the shortest amount of time. But we also want to talk about convenience. If you have kids, what's going to look like for showings. We want to make sure that it's really right for you. So there's lots of questions that people should ask before they sell. They should ask the question, is it the right time? I mean, often the trickiest time to sell is when someone's moving from a bigger house and they want to move into a smaller house, they want to downsize. That's a difficult time because there's so many family memories in that home. Or if you're a first-time buyer, that's a huge, huge step. You're going from maybe your biggest loan in your life was your car loan, and now you have a mortgage, which it feels a little bit scary for a lot of people. So we need to talk about that. And finally, maybe there's been a tragedy in your family or a separation or those really tough stuff. Selling a home can be deeply emotional. It's important that we talk about those things because when you're receiving offers, that's all going to come into play. So let's talk about that at the start so that we accomplish what you want. So I want to start by talking about what is it going to cost, because that's a huge question that people have. So what's it going to cost to sell your house? There are a few different things that you're going to want to consider. One is your mortgage. So if you're in a fixed term mortgage, unless you're going to port it over or transfer your mortgage, there's going to be a fee to break that term. So it's something that you want to discuss with your lender before you sell your house. The second thing that you want to look at is your lawyer fee. So at the end of your transaction, you're going to meet with your lawyer. What is that going to be? And finally, the commission that you're going to pay a realtor. So there are many different ways that works, many different service models. I'm going to talk about two. There's the low fee agent, and then there's the full service agent. The low fee agent usually will charge you a less commission, but what you're getting for that commission is actually going to be less as well. So typically with a low fee agent, you're going to get cell phone photos. You probably won't get a video. There probably won't be drone photography. There probably won't be help staging your house. And that might be the right thing for you because that is the most important, is the low fee for your decision. The second, in which I've decided to be as a realtor, is a full service agent. And so when you hire a full service agent, you're probably going to get a marketing plan. You're going to get professional photography, professional video. You're probably going to get drone photography. You're going to get help with staging your house for sale. And then there's going to be a step-by-step process of getting top dollar for your home. And what I have found that even if the fees are a little bit higher, typically those people end up with a better price for their home because their home is marketed at a higher standard. And that actually leads straight into marketing. The next part I want to talk about how I would market your home. I think marketing your home is incredibly important. Any realtor can list your property, put it on MLS or Realtor.ca, and then put a sign at the end of your driveway. Any realtor can do that and has the access to MLS. But the question that I have for you is, how are we going to get the most amount of eyeballs at your property, the amount of people looking at your property, to get those people through your door so that we have the most amount of people that potentially are going to put an offer on your house? Because if we're just going to put it on MLS and not care about staging or how it will look or about the photography, there's going to be less people that come to that property. But if you consider, how does each photo look? How is it staged? Is there video? Is there drone? Now, video and drone actually isn't right for every property, but this is something that we're going to discuss. And actually, I have a 31-point marketing checklist that I go through that we discuss to make sure that your property is marketed the very best. The next thing that we're going to talk about in marketing is social media. There are lots of people that just will throw just listed onto their social media platform. You see that on every realtor's page. But I think it's important that you go further than that. Does that realtor use Reels? Does that realtor use long form video on YouTube, social media advertising? Once again, the most amount of people that see your property, the greater chance we'll get those people through the doors, the greater chance those people potentially write an offer on your home, which will get the best result. We want to make sure that your house is presented in the highest form possible. All of you will watch home shows where those homes are looking at the highest standard possible. And we want to do the best we can to present your home in that light so that your home gains the higher price. The next thing that we're going to discuss is pricing strategy. Now, you might think that you can just throw on whatever price in your home and then no big deal if you want to lower it in the future. The reality is that within the first couple days, if your house is even priced 5% above market value, you will lose 40% of the people that actually even want to look at your property. And you can actually see this on the data that we get from Realtor.ca. If you look at the first day, you have, let's say, 800 views. The next day will actually go down to 400 and then often drop down from there. And this is a really important thing because when you look at Realtor.ca, you might see homes that are sitting on the market, and often it is because they are not priced correctly. The very first impression that your property has on that person is going to decide whether or not they pursue that property further by booking a showing or talking to their realtor about it, or if they just walk away. So it's very important that we price that property correctly. So how do we price your home? There's a few different stats that you are going to want to discuss with your realtor when pricing your home. One is how many months of inventory we have on the market. So based on the months of inventory, we'll determine whether it's a seller's market, it's a balanced market, or it's a buyer's market. Often in Steinbach, we're sitting at a balanced market a lot of the time, whereas in Winnipeg, there's a few different areas that are regularly a seller's market because the inventory goes quickly. Another stat that you're going to want to look at is list price to sell price ratio. If that ratio is like 99%, you can be quite confident that you're going to be able to sell your house for close to list price, which is exactly what you want. And finally, the next stat you're going to want to look at is days on market. Now you want to remember with days on the market, that only counts for houses that actually sold. It's not counting for houses that are still sitting on the market, right? The way that we use that stat is, let's say days on market, the average days on market for a house is 25 days. Well, we know that if your house is on the market for longer than 25 days, that there's something that is causing your house not to sell, and often that is the price. It's the market saying to you, it's not me, it's not another realtor, it's the market saying to you that your house is probably priced too high and therefore is not being sold off the market. The next thing that we look at when we're pricing your house is comparables. Now, what a realtor is going to do, the first thing they're going to look at is location. It's amazing actually, if you're looking in Winnipeg within different neighborhoods or even a couple blocks apart, a house might be worth more or less based on the specific neighborhood that your house is located. So what the realtor is going to do is going to look at the past sales within that neighborhood and compare it to your property. So there's different things they're going to look at. They're going to look at the size of your yard, the updates of your house, whether or not siding, shingles, furnace, that type of thing have all been done, whether the kitchen's been updated. They're going to look at number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, the shape of the neighborhood. Is there a park nearby? Is there a nice sidewalk? Is the street redone, or is it got lots of potholes? All those things will factor into pricing your home, because the better all those things are, obviously, the more people are going to want that house and are going to want to move it, which will increase your price. So while we're pricing your home, there's another stat that we're going to want to look at. And we're going to want to ask the question, who we're actually competing against. In different price brackets, you're going to have more or less people looking at that market, and we can discover that through the MLS. So maybe your house is worth $700,000. Well, typically, there is a smaller pool in Winnipeg and surrounding areas for that price point. And the lower you go, the more buyers are going to be looking. So we can look at those numbers and we can say, if your house is worth that much, it will likely sell in this many days, which will be longer typically than a house that is more affordable. And we can compare that data for different neighborhoods, different areas, different cities. It's important that you get that data right away so that you have a really realistic expectation on how long your house is going to take to sell. And finally, we're going to talk about your house closing. So what that means is you're going to receive your offer. Your realtor is going to walk through that offer with you. The thing that they're going to look at is what are the things that are included? Appliances, water softener, curtains, that type of thing. They're going to look at the conditions. Maybe there's a financing condition or inspection condition or something like that. And they're looking to look at possession date, and they're gonna look at all those different things in the offer and advise you whether or not this is a good offer, whether or not you should counter, or whether or not you accept it as it is written. Once you've come to an agreement with the buyer on the property and the place is now sold, the next thing is you're gonna wanna wait until those conditions are satisfied. So maybe the buyer put a condition of financing for 7 days. So now that buyer now has 7 days to get financing for that property, and if they do, they'll give you a condition satisfied. Once that condition satisfied is done, that property sale is now firm, and you now are waiting until possession date where your house now officially passes on to new ownership. You're going to want to make sure that you hire a realtor that is really organized and takes care of all the little different details of maybe the conditions, possession date, inspections, financing, all those things, so that nothing falls through the cracks. Another part of closing that a lot of people don't consider when hiring a realtor is negotiation. So how is your realtor negotiating for the best price? Sometimes I've worked with realtors where as soon as they receive an offer, they accept it, it's all good, and they're just pretty much just managing that transaction. What you're gonna want is a realtor that's gonna go to bat for you and fight for the price in negotiations so that you get the top price possible. The goal for a realtor shouldn't be just to get another deal, but it is for that realtor to get your desired price with your desired conditions and your desired possession date. And if they do that, they've succeeded and created a happy client. I hope you found this information interesting. If you have any further questions, comment below or reach out using the contact information in the description below. Thanks again.